So it is that time of the year where I always do the who quote-unquote won E3 between Xbox and PS4. And please save me the gamers won speech in the comment section, because yes, of course, gamers won this year. There were a ton of great games shown, especially from third party. I think overall it was actually better than I anticipated. There are a lot of games now that I saw at this E3 that I'm excited for, gonna be keeping track of as we head on until they actually come out and we're able to play them. But this video is down to your favorite console war battle, which is Sony versus Microsoft. And so I'm going to tell you who I think won as far as who put on the best show. And then I'm going to tell you who I think won in terms of bringing the best games as far as their first party lineup. And who knows, maybe it's the same person, maybe it's not, or the same company. But according to Mitt Romney, a company is a person, so who knows. Anyway, so in terms of overall style, presentation, entertainment, value, I don't think it was even close this year. I don't hear anybody saying that Sony had the better show when it came to the E3 conferences. I think Microsoft ran away with it by and large, hands down, no questions asked. They showed game trailer after game trailer, AAA games, big, huge reveals on stage. It's what you hope for when you sit down to watch an E3 conference. I think Microsoft absolutely nailed it, bringing the true E3 experience that everybody hopes for and wants. They did an awesome job delivering. Sony, on the other hand, very awkward, just strange, full of dead spots, terrible music interruptions where one of the guys doing a little cultural appropriation, I think maybe, according to some, he didn't even have, I don't think his flute or whatever the hell that was that he was blowing into, I don't think it was even working properly, or maybe he just didn't know how to do it since he wasn't really Japanese. I don't know. Anyway, it was just awkward. And then they did these weird intermission things where they're talking about just random topics. Like, I could see showing an in-depth gameplay video and then talking to the devs about that game, but the commentary was just all over the place. It was really the format that you see basically on every show that's trying to do all-day E3 coverage, where they'll show a game trailer and then they'll come on stage and talk, and a lot of people kind of tune it out or fall asleep because they're waiting on the next gameplay trailer to actually show. And that was basically Sony's conference. It was filler for the most part. It was really just strange and awkward. It was an awful E3 conference for Sony. I hope we never see that again. And I'm pretty sure they got the message, because again, didn't hear anybody praising the new format that Sony wanted to try. I understand wanting to try new things, but at the same time, don't fix what isn't broken. But when it comes to looking at what they actually brought to the table as far as Sony and Microsoft, when it comes to first party, when it comes to exclusives, and I'm talking console exclusives, don't give me, it's not really exclusive, it's on PC, just shut up. We're talking about console exclusives here. Peel away all the third party games and look at what each publisher brought. And I think whenever you look at Microsoft, I've been saying for a long time now that Microsoft needed to bring the games this year at E3. Phil Spencer has been in his position for 4 years. He's been talking a really good game, talking about how he wants to pretty much emulate Nintendo as far as their first party lineup goes. He wants to make big investments. He knows that people are wanting games, and he says he wants to bring them. So I felt this year was the time to show what you've been doing for the last 4 years, because again, you've been in that position for a while. You've been talking a good game, so this was the year to deliver. And so what we ended up getting was a tech demo for the Halo engine, which isn't anywhere close to launching. We got Forza, which looked great, which I'm definitely going to be buying and playing, but we already knew that was coming because it's on a set schedule, and this was the year for that to launch. Crackdown 3 showing single player again, and Gears, rounded it out. Those were basically the big games that Microsoft showed. No new IPs, no surprises, nothing that would bring down the house. And I don't think there was one game there that they showed that's going to keep Microsoft from coming in probably third place for the foreseeable future in the sales department. announcing that you're making a big investment into games finally in 2018, near the end of this life cycle for the generation. That's great and all, but I don't think most gamers care that you're buying up a bunch of studios that for the most part are already making games for your system anyway. They came to see what games they're going to be playing soon. And Microsoft didn't show much at all. And at least they didn't show nothing that was surprising at all. Sony this year decided to do deep dives on their exclusives. You had Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding, Spider-Man. Again, on that side as well, no new surprises because all of those games have been announced already. But we did get to see gameplay for games that we hadn't seen before. And the games that they showed are obviously playable because they were being played, so that means they're pretty far into development. And the ones they did do a deep dive in, I thought looked fantastic. Sony may not have the most powerful console on the market, but whether it be native 4K or not, the level of detail of some of those games shown were some of the best I've seen in any game on any platform. And so I don't think people are going to be counting pixels, regardless of the number of pixels on screen. The animations, the graphics, they looked amazing. And so if I'm being honest about which games looked more appealing to me, which ones I'd like to play, it was the Sony exclusives that looked better. Now, if you love Gears and you think Gears looked a lot better than anything Sony showed, there's nothing wrong with that. If you think Microsoft won, there's nothing wrong with that. It's your opinion, like I'm simply giving my opinion. And in my opinion, Microsoft won the show, but Sony won with the games. And I don't think that their awful format is going to slow them down in the sales department in the slightest when it comes to PlayStation. And if you try to gauge the excitement by looking at views for all the exclusive trailers on YouTube, because let's face it, if you're interested in a game, you're going to go watch the trailer, you're going to go share it, you're going to go comment on it, all that other good stuff, and YouTube is the biggest video format out there. Here's the breakdown of the views for Xbox versus Sony exclusives. I wouldn't say that this is a scientific study, but at the same time, we're in a day and age where people like to go brag about certain games being #1 streamed for a week whenever the game first launches. So I also think, I don't think it's totally irrelevant either by pointing this out. So anyway, post your thoughts down below. Who do you think had the better show and who had the better games as far as exclusives go? Be honest. That does it for me, the Red Dragon. I know people aren't going to be honest, but I figured I'd throw it out there anyway. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.